Okay, so today we're going to be talking about more multiplication properties of exponents. Our objectives for today is to raise a power to a power and to raise a product to a power. And we're still in A1.4.1, and our first property here is to raise a power to a power. Now what this means is that we have inside parentheses a power, so an exponent, and then outside parentheses we have another exponent. So basically it becomes a power raised in another power format. Okay, what we do in this case is we're actually going to multiply now. Okay, so I know in the last section we were adding, so you got to shift gears here. We're going to be multiplying. So what this means is, again, if I have like x squared cubed, in the previous section we said, hey, it was x squared times x cubed. That made x to the fifth. In this particular case, it makes x to the 6th. We multiply. Okay, so why does that work? Well, you have to remember cube means that we expand this problem out 3 times. So it becomes x squared times x squared times x squared. But each of these squareds are expanded out to become x times x times x times x. You know, we keep doing that. So now when you count this up, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you get x to the 6th. So same idea. Expand it out a couple times, get used to it, and then you kind of pick up on it that you can actually just multiply the exponents. Same thing with numbers as we would go through. Okay, so problem 1 here, we look at n to the 4th, and that's being raised to the 7th. Okay, so in this case what we're going to do, same thing. We're going to take 4 times 7, still only writing the n once. So we get 4 times 7, n to the 28th. Okay, so it's really that simple, but a lot of mistakes are going to be made with taking previous sections and doing them for this section or vice versa. Okay, so example number 2, go ahead and do those. I will tell you on C, make sure that you're simplifying fully. Okay, so let's look at problem number 2. Problem number 2 says, what is the simplified form of this y cubed times y to the 5th to the negative 2nd? Again, pay attention to what you have. The 3 is only going with this y. This y to the 5th is the only thing being raised to that negative 2. So the y cubed stays y cubed. The y to the 5th becomes 5 times the negative 2, giving us y cubed times y now to the negative 10th. Now we have same basis, so you have to shift gears. So this is the previous section. Okay, this is the 7-3. In this one, now you're going to write it 3 plus the negative 10, which gives us the end result of y to the negative 7. Okay, which we would in turn simplify fully to give us 1 over y to the 7 because it was a negative exponent. Now again, the biggest mistake in this section is at this point right here, many of you are going to write negative 30 because you're going to multiply. You got multiply on your mind, and so that's what you're going to do. So you have to understand different rules for different steps, and then just analyze each step as you go. Alright, so got it, number 2. Go ahead and do that one, see how well you do with that. The next property is raising a product. Now, as teaching Algebra 2 as well, this is one of the frustrating things, is that students start changing this property for addition as well. Okay, this is only something that works for a product. So like 2 times 3 raised to something, or 2 times x raised to something. That's the only time this one works. So if I were to have like x m, and I'm going to raise that to the 3rd, this property says that I'm going to have x to the 3rd and m to the 3rd. Okay, I'm going to get each of those. Now again, this is to the 1st and that's the 1st. So I'm multiplying 3 times 1 and 3 times m, or 3 times 1 in both of those. But if I were to change this, let me get my white pen here. Let's say I had x squared m, and it was still being cubed. Let's just do the same problem pretty much. Now it becomes x 2 times 3, which gives me 6, and still m 3 times 1, which is 3. Okay, so different exponents changes the problem as well. So let's look at example, or problem 3 here. Problem 3 is talking about a square, so I put the square up there, but it says what is the area of the square that has a side length 5x squared? So this one has side length 5x squared. So you got to remember rules of squares to start. It has a length and a width that is 5x squared, since all sides are the same. Now we want to talk about area. Well, area of a square is length times width, as many of you will refer to, but since they're the same, area of a square is more precise to be side squared. We know the side is 5x squared, so we're going to replace the s with 5x squared. And that's being squared. There's that squared. This is the side length, there's the squared. So now I have to remember again, it's 5 to the first, so 5 to the first squared gives me 5 squared, 2 times 1. And then the x squared squared is 2 times 2, which gives me 4. Do simplify the 5. 5 squared is 25, and you get x to the 4th. Okay, and that would be our simplified form. Okay, so got it, number 3. Go ahead and do that. We'll check our answers here in a second. Okay, problem 4. We look at what is a simplified form. Again, same kind of process here. Understanding there is a separation of parentheses here. So n becomes n to the 5 times 2, which gives me n to the 10th. So I can simplify this piece by piece. Then you have 4 to the first, which is being multiplied by the 3, which gives me 4 cubed. M is to the first as well. It's being cubed, so it becomes 3. And then n is negative 2 times 3. Now the 4 cubed, 4 times 4 is 16, times another 4 is 64. M cubed, that's the only m, so we don't have to do anything with that. But we have n to the negative 6. Now a lot of students want to stop here, but I have like terms. So what I can do is I can make this 64 m cubed, and now what I need to do is actually add the exponents, and this doesn't really matter the order. You can do 10 plus a negative 6, but I get m cubed and n to the positive 4. No negative exponents, so I'm done. There would be my final answer for that one. Okay, so go ahead and do got it number 4 as well. There should be your answers for each of those. You'll notice on some of them they're simplified the numbers, so make sure that you actually multiply those out. If you look at got it number 3, 343, a lot of people write 21 on that one because they're actually multiplying the number to its power. You have to remember, 7 cubed or 7 to a certain power, you're actually taking 7 times 7 times 7, not just taking 7 times 3. Okay. If you have any questions, you can put something up on Twitter, or you can go to Edmodo and put a post. I'll be checking those. Do your Edmodo quiz, and tomorrow we'll take your quiz in class. Have a good night.